What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl, Toya. And this episode is called Authenticity, the Real. Okay, so let me tell y'all how I got into the name of this episode. So one day I was just randomly chilling in bed and I was just like, Toya, on your journey to becoming your best self, you are starting to discover things about yourself that genuinely are who you are, but they're things you never expected, right? They're things that are shocking to me. And then in realizing that I'm discovering that about myself, I'm seeing other people as fraud, right? I'm seeing people who show up in certain spaces as someone, but I know in real life, you not really like that. Right? Hey, Rhea. Y'all are putting on these faces for certain places and occasions, and in real life you don't really move that way. And I don't mean people who are one way and being professional, and in another space you're being, you know what I'm saying, your natural self. I mean people who come off as these genuine people. I love you, I'm so nice, I'm so caring, I care about you, but behind closed doors you shady, you're manipulative, you're a liar. You know what I mean? Those are the people that I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are on the DL. You know, some of these men, it's okay, you know, they try to show this whole macho face, but behind closed doors, you sliding in DMs of the bros, okay? I'm talking about everything that makes you genuine and authentic, right? And so there are even things, like I said, that I'm discovering about me that are like, well, damn, am I this way, right? And I've realized that when you are discovering who you are, there are two different avenues you can take, right? You can discover something about yourself and realize, yo, I really like this. Let me develop this part of who I am. You can discover things that are like, okay, so somebody addressed this to me. Let me know that I'm this way. This is something I need to work on, right? There are parts of who we are that we like, that we don't understand, that we project onto other people, right? So we have to figure out what it looks like to be ourselves, what it feels like to get there, what happens when you discover a part of yourself that is not who you expected it to be, right? Rhea said hair popping. Girl, I did my hair myself, right? I've been trying to save a little coin, so I just did my own hair this week. I did that. Okay, so back to the topic. When I was coming up with my show notes, right, I said that I wanted to start this episode because I used to do this like in season 1, but I kind of strayed away from it. I would look up the actual definitions of words, right? So I called this episode Authenticity, the Real. And so I actually looked up the definition of what does it mean to be authentic, right? So the definition in Webster's Dictionary of authentic is of undisputed origin or genuine. So I'm going to break that up into both parts, right? So of undisputed origin, when we're discovering our authentic selves, whether we know it or not, that is the origin of who we are, right? It just may be a piece of you that you haven't discovered. We try to say that someone is real when they like change something about themselves or they step into a certain part of themselves that hasn't been on display. But when we're talking about authenticity, it's undisputed. There's nothing you can argue about it. It's who you are, and it's the origin of who you are. Whether or not you accept it, you show it, or you've realized what it is, right? So a part of being authentic is being is the origin of who you are. And the second part of that definition was just the word genuine. So y'all know I ain't gonna leave y'all hanging. The word genuine actually means truly what something is said to be. And that's where y'all be getting the game messed up at in this whole thing where we talk about authenticity. So genuine, which is a part of the definition of authenticity, is truly what something is said to be, right? So people, true to your roots, exactly. So people show up in spaces as something, as someone, and it's not really truly who they are, right? It's not truly who you said to be. You can say that you're this genuine, caring, loving friend, right? But deep down, you're not. Deep down, you're seeing what you can get, seeing what you can use, seeing how you can finagle the system, because in your true and authentic self, genuinely, you're not showing up who you said to be, so you're not authentic. We have these people, and let me know if y'all know some, because I know a couple, right? And there's even instances where I feel like I've done this, right? Because y'all know I'm never coming here to kind of like point something out, point something in somebody out, or say that I haven't figured out, because I don't, right? I'm still in discovery mode of my authentic self. And this is kind of aside from that point, in discovering who your authentic self is, I feel like have to, if you're trying to be better, because some of us are comfortable in our in authenticity. Inauthenticity. That's the right prefix, right? Inauthenticity. Y'all know what I'm trying to say? You comfortable not being real. You comfortable being a fraud, so you have no desire to actually take a step and look at all of who you are, all of the freaking undisputed origin of who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? There are some things about ourselves that's authentically us that are not okay. Right? But you have some people unauthentic. It ain't unauthentic, Javi. It's inauthentic. Whatever. This ain't ELA class. Y'all lucky Anna not on here. But there are some people that are comfortable with those parts of themselves that are unfavorable or just not authentic to who they try to show up to be, right? So I'll put this in perspective for myself, right? Because I am on a quest to be free, right? And I think I told a friend this not too long ago. I am on a quest for freedom. And a large part of being free, right, is accepting who you are, accepting every single part of you authentically, and then figuring out what parts of you need to be tweaked or adjusted or changed. I'm not saying change totally who you are, right? And here's an example. Let me know if this is in some way offensive. And I'm saying this as a person who does not have this experience, but I know people who do. So correct me if I'm wrong in any instance. Like I said before, just do so respectfully, because these hands still get active. Okay? So if you're going to disagree with some respect. Okay? But when I think about, you know what I mean, discovering parts of yourself that aren't what you want them to be, right? It's not really authentically who you are. I think about people who are trans, right? So you're born one way and expected to live one way, and people are like telling you this is authentic, and you go a certain period of your time saying like, yeah, this is what I am. I'm male, I'm female. But you know, and you discover about yourself like, no, that's not really how I'm identifying, right? I feel like, and let me know if I'm wrong, anybody out there who is trans, right? I feel like that's kind of what it is, right? You discover things about yourself, and it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary to show up authentically as who you are, right? When you have the world and everybody else kind of telling you what you should be, how you should act, how you should behave. So same thing, when we're talking about being our true, authentic self, this goes way beyond just the things that I'm talking about personality wise, as a friend, as a sister, as a brother, right? I love my people in the chat. Hey, Nene. So when we're talking about true and authentic selves, the next question that I came up with is, when we out here living fraud, living fake, you know what I'm saying, trying to be something, saying we're one thing, living another thing, you know what I'm saying, saying we're caring and supportive, and you're not, you're manipulative, you're a liar, you're a user, saying you got money, you know what I'm saying, but you're actually broke and living off your baby mama. You know, sometimes we live inauthentically, but what is it? This is a question for y'all that I'm going to elaborate on. But remember, this is always our conversation. What do we miss out on by not being who we are fully and authentically? By not living freely as who we are? What do we miss out on? What do y'all think? Because I got an idea, but I want to hear from y'all. What do you all think? What are you missing out on when you're not living as you truly are, right? As you truly see yourself, or as you're truly what something is said to be. When you're not living that way, what is it that you're missing out on? We miss out on genuine people. We miss out on genuine relationships, right? We miss out on true happiness. We miss out on happiness. And this is kind of where I was going. So I'm actually glad that Nene said this. When you're not living in your true and authentic self, you're missing out on happiness, right? You're missing out on purpose. Thank you, Rhea. And you are missing out on freedom, right? I really think that being genuine, being authentic, and being okay with who you are, or being okay with making the changes that you need to, has a lot to do with you being okay with being free. You're missing out on freedom, and I am on the quest to freedom. I don't know about y'all, but I am on a quest to freedom, right? So we spend so much time trying to fit a mold or fit a frame, or, you know what I'm saying, cater to people's judgments, or our fear of people's judgments, to be more specific, right? And we miss out on all of these things. So then what is it that we need to do to get there? How do we get to that freedom? We miss out on who the real person is in the mirror. And sometimes, I'm actually glad you said that, Nene. We miss out on the person in the real person in the mirror. Is it true that if we're not living authentically and we discover things about ourselves, you're afraid of the person that's in the mirror? Because the person in the mirror isn't the person in the crowd that you're listening to. Ooh, that was a word. You get scared when you're on this journey to authenticity. You're afraid of facing the person in the mirror when you're afraid of disappointing the people in the crowd. But the people that are in the crowd are not you. They're not living your life. Their dream isn't your dream. Their purpose isn't your purpose. Their destiny isn't your destiny, right? So y'all got to stop pleasing the crowd, bro. If you really want to conquer freedom, like Rhea said, if you really want to conquer and be happy looking at the person in the mirror, you have to live authentically. Stop trying to please the crowd, because at the end of the day, the people in the crowd are going to change throughout your life regardless. You're trying to please one crowd when you never know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, Laria, I'm feeling like you today. You're trying to please the people in the crowd when God might have a whole nother crowd prepared for you. A whole bigger crowd, a crowd with more opportunity, a crowd with more networking opportunity, a crowd with more vision, with more insight, right? So you have to learn, or you have to just practice living free, right? And here's something that I'll give to y'all, and I always be thinking about things we can do. I never just want to be talking at you, right? So when we're trying to think about being okay and being free and stepping into our authentic selves, something that I want you all to do is just journal, right? Talk to yourself, right? Every day, write down something about yourself that is true. Whether it's something that you already know, whether it's something that scares you, if you know that it's something in you that is true, write it down. Look at it every day, right? And it's the comments about the hair for me. I'm gonna just tell y'all again, I did my own hair this week. You know, I'm trying to save a few little coins. Yeah. And side note, don't let me forget what I was talking about. One of my students had the nerve to say, "Oh, Miss Fran got a lace front." Play with your mama, not me. I ain't got no lace front, little boy. Okay. But like I was saying, if you are on this journey, I always want to give you all tangibles, right? If you're on this journey to start to please the person in the mirror and stop giving a fuck about the crowd, I want you to write down those things about yourself, because oftentimes we're presented with parts of ourselves, our authentic selves. We're just afraid of what the world is going to say. We're just afraid of how the world is going to receive it. But you have to understand that you have to get to a point where you understand, where you receive and where you accept this part of yourself before you present it to the world, right? Figure it out for yourself. We can't present anything to the world if we don't know what it is for ourselves. As a teacher, I can't go and teach kids a lesson about something I have no knowledge of, right? Same thing with your life. You can't teach people to respect you if you don't respect yourself. You can't teach people to understand you if you don't understand yourself. So take that time that you need. I'm talking about it. Take the time that you need to really figure out what it is about yourself until you get the courage to announce it, right? Be your own audience. Address the person in the mirror every day until you're bold enough, brave enough, and have the confidence enough to address the crowd. Because you're going to get to a point, if you do this, right? If you're sitting and accepting yourself and really thinking about and weighing your options, is this really who I am? Is this really what I want to do, right? Until you get to that point, when you get through that process of accepting it yourself, it's going to be fuck the crowd. Okay? Because like I said before, you're probably trying to please a crowd that is not a part of your best and your highest self, right? You're pleasing a crowd that's temporary, right? You're pleasing a $10 ticket crowd when God probably got you a $10,000 ticket crowd, right? So you have to understand that stepping into your true self is never a step back, right? It's taking a step forward and taking a leap of faith, right? Shout out to my friends in the chat. Make sure y'all are sharing. I remember to make this one public, but make sure y'all are sharing this. It took me to be authentic with me, to receive the authentic friends that I wanted. Yes, Kavi, and I remember you mentioned that to me. Like, my good sis said, like, I pray for everything right now, from the friends to the jobs, to the this, to the edges. No, she ain't say she prayed for her edges, but at least you got some, girl. People praying for them edges. But yeah, so you really have to sit down and figure out, what does it mean to be authentic? And oftentimes, y'all, parts of ourselves show up as we get to different phases. And I feel like, this is me personally, I'm telling y'all my business, right? We get presented with parts of ourselves that we never imagined we would, and it scares us, because if y'all are anything like me, I have this blueprint of my life, and my best friends tell me this all the time. They're like, Toya, you plan out every part of your life, and when something doesn't go exactly as it was in your little plan, you act like it's the end of the world. Right? These are things that happen with me in college. These are things that happen with me with dating and family life and work, all types of shit, y'all. Like, I be freaking out. For example, y'all know I went to the best HBCU in the nation. Shout out to FAMU, all my rattlers in the gang. You know what I'm saying? 1887, we out here. But that was not my first idea, right? My first choice for college was University of Florida, and which is a PWI, you know, great school, but not for me. I feel like I would have been miserable there. I did not get accepted into Florida. I'm so used to saying Florida A&M. I did not get accepted into UF, right? And I was devastated. But then I got presented with the idea to go to FAMU, and y'all, it was the best decision of my life, right? I was trying to entertain what it looked like to be accepted into this prestigious PWI when I didn't even realize that HBCU was going to make me into the woman that's talking to y'all today. So it's a matter of accepting the changes. Who you are authentically will be presented in different ways and in different places. So you really have to give yourself the opportunity to take a step back and evaluate your life. Sometimes we're moving too fast and we're trying to we name our desires for ourselves to be who we are authentically, when in all actuality, your authentic self is not what you desire. It's something for you to discover. Somebody put that on a t-shirt. I'm going to say it again. Sometimes your authentic self is not what you desire. It's something you have to discover, right? We can't always plan out our lives, y'all. And just because something isn't what you planned doesn't mean it's not who you are, okay? I see some people in the chat. They say, if you want to make God laugh, make plans. And that's on period, because God done laughed in my face a lot of times, right? God be thinking he Kevin Hart sometimes when it comes to me. Plan it out, but present the plan to God and be willing to pivot. Exactly, right? Sometimes we, here I am talking about God, and y'all know, he know my heart. Hold on. Oh, make sure y'all sharing the video. That ain't wine either. Plan it out and present it to God. Right. So sometimes we make these plans, and then we think that, not Kevin Hart though. He do be thinking he Kevin Hart, because God been cackling at me lately. But sometimes we make these plans and we give the plan to God. Like, period. Here, God, this is what I need you to do. I'll be back at 8:00 to pick it up. And God's like, girl, who you talking to? Let's review. I'll review the list, but girl, who you talking to? Right? Sometimes we overstep our boundaries with God or with the universe, the ancestors, Allah, whomever you know what I'm saying, whoever you worship. And we have to understand that we can't do that, because that's where we lose disappointment. That's when we start getting down on ourselves and we start to ask, why me? Or we get depressed, right? Because we have this vision, this idea of what things are going to be specifically, and we start to lose sight of that, right? So sometimes we make these visions. I know I do this all the time for a partner, right? For what my life partner looks like. I have these specific ideas, tall, light-skinned, abs, you know what I'm saying? Got a beard on them, no kids. I present these superficial things, and this is authentically what I want, and it ain't gonna be that. And then you get presented with someone who has all of the non-physical attributes for what you want, and now you kind of question it. Also, as a disclaimer, that don't mean I'm trying to date somebody ugly. You gotta be fine, because if I gotta look at you every day, you gotta be fine to me, okay? You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be Michael B. Jordan, but I at least want like Michael C. Jordan or something. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but yeah, you gotta kind of be okay with altering what your vision of your authenticity authenticity looks like, right? I appreciate my friends in the chat. Let's go to the next question. So my next question is, this kind of leads into it. The question was, does changing make you inauthentic? Okay? Does changing make you inauthentic? And so here's an example. You've presented your life or yourself to the world, not Michael C. Baby, if I can't get Michael B, I'll take Michael C, okay? But does changing make you inauthentic, right? Change is constant. Come on, with the laws of, I think that's physics. I should know that as a science teacher. Either way, change is constant. We are always going to change, right? So then what does it mean to be inauthentic when we are changing? Because some people change up who they are in different spaces and different places, like I said before. I think that's inauthentic. I feel like authenticity, y'all, this word is fucking me up tonight. I feel like authenticity constantly evolves because we are forever changing. I want to agree with you. Okay, authenticity constantly changes. I don't know if I agree with that, Camille, and here's why. So I think authenticity... Oh, you weren't here for the definition, sis. Okay, so the definition is of undisputed origin / genuine. And the definition of genuine is truly what something is said to be. So why I don't think that authenticity changes, I think that situations change. I think that people change. But who you are authentically is in your origin. So I don't think authenticity changes. I think how it's presented might change. Let me know if y'all agree or disagree. Or Camille, you can defend your point. I'm not trying to shut you down. I just don't think authenticity changes. I think the way it's presented is what changes. And Nene said, and with change, you have to set yourself up to all the crowds and people. Rhea said, I believe it's growth, not change. You are still you, just more mature. Okay, and maybe that's the way that we can think about it. So when we talk about authenticity, we have to understand that a part of being authentic means that you will change, right? But the origin of who you are, the core of who you are, your core, I don't even want to say beliefs because those can change as well. Your core attributes, maybe that's not the right word. Let me know if y'all got a better one, is what doesn't change, right? So authentically, I want to be a great person to people. Right? And the way that I do that might change, you know what I'm saying, in one space, or at one point in my life, I might do this to show that, you know what I mean, I'm genuine, I'm real, I'm caring, I'm supportive, but in a couple of years, that might look different, but the goal of who I authentically want to be, I don't think ever changes, right? So I think authenticity, like Nene says, I'm seeing the word evolve, has to do with evolution of self, but it doesn't have to do with evolution of origin or those deep-rooted attributes. You will evolve as well, but the true person inside is what doesn't change, right? I think the heart is authentic. There we go. And that actually reminds me when Rhea was on here mentioning heart posture, right? Your heart posture isn't what changed. And let me know if I'm using that term incorrectly. Your heart posture isn't what changes, right? The way that you display that is what changes. So can we agree that changing does not make you inauthentic? Because it's a part of displaying your authenticity. I think that's where we giving that. Evolve the caterpillar because of butterfly, but he's still the caterpillar. Right? So it's that growth between the phase of the caterpillar and the butterfly. Right? So we have to understand that being authentic does include growth. Okay? Let's talk about the next question I have. Okay? How do we get to our true and authentic selves fully? How do we get to that freedom? How do we get to that outward expression of who we are and how we present ourselves? Because I think a large part of being authentic, like I think I've mentioned before, is being okay with who you are. You know what I'm saying? Being okay with who you are is a large part of being authentic, and you can't reach authenticity until you've reached into yourself. So how do we get there? And here's my answer. So while y'all are typing y'all answers in the chat, shout out to the pod that just jumped in the chat. Make sure you all are sharing the video. My simple answer to getting to your true and authentic self, is this thing on? Is to stop giving a fuck. Y'all heard that? I'll say they didn't hear me. I'll say it again. Okay. The way that I think is a simple fix to coming into your true, authentic, and genuine self is to stop giving a fuck. Right. Stop entertaining the crowd like we said before. Being who you are, being free, genuine, and authentic in who you are means that you do not give a fuck. It's you presenting yourself without looking for feedback. It's like, this is who I am, mutes chat. Like y'all do on Zoom, I'm going to mute you. Because I don't care what your response is back. Being authentically you is like, I did the work. I sat down and I meditated over this. I wrote this down. I made it affirmations. I made me who I am. I'm presenting to you who I am, and I'm not looking for a response back. And even if you give one, I don't give a fuck. So, what do you all think? How do we get to ourselves? How do we get to that true, authentic, genuine self? My answer is to stop giving a fuck. But how do we even do that? Maybe that's my question. And that's a question I'm asking for a friend that's really myself. How do we stop caring? Right? How do I stop caring what my family thinks? How do I stop caring what my boss thinks? How do I stop caring what my cousin thinks? How do I stop caring what the people that I'm into think? How do I stop caring what social media thinks? How do I stop caring? How do I stop giving a fuck about that? Right? That is what I need to work on. And I feel like some of us do too. Hey, Derek, I see you, sugar. So Kavi said, receive me or not. I am who I am, standing in this shit. How you stand in that shit? How? How do you get there? I'm asking a hard question today because we say that all the time. You can't give a fuck. Be who you are. Don't care what people think. That's always our advice. How do you get there? I am a recovering people pleaser. How do I not care to please people? How do I do that? What is the work that I need to do? Because I know if I'm experiencing that, someone else is as well. How do we get to that point where we don't give a fuck, bro? I'm tired of giving a fuck. Nene said yes. Also, I just want to name while y'all still typing y'all responses to tell me how not to give a fuck. Nene, I see that your name on here is Lanita. Should I call you by your real name? Or I can't call you by your backyard name when we was kids no more. Or should I call you Lanita since we grown now? But either way, she said yes. And it takes people a long time to get to who they are. My personal experience was that I had to put people who genuinely didn't care for me. I had to put people who genuinely didn't care for me and were just riding the wave and was fake. Like me getting married to a woman and growing up in the church and being disowned. But now it's fuck people. Right. So it really has to become about you. And maybe that's what it is. We have to learn to start to make our lives about us. And I'm saying us because I'm a part of y'all. Right. We have to learn and get the courage. We have to learn and get the courage to make our lives about us. Right. It's no longer about you. It's no longer about what you expected of me. Because I heard a bunch of times before, people's expectations of you ain't got shit to do with you. You expecting something from me has nothing to do with what I expect for myself. You expecting me to be a certain way has nothing to do with how God wants me. God, just one, not, we're not doing polytheism over here. How God wants me to be presented to the world, right? And then Kavi said, because I asked her, how do you stand up in this shit? How do you just be you and not care? She says, by knowing your heart and your intentions and being okay with it. I have an answer, and it just came to me. The spirit just came right here. This is a back doorway that I feel like we are forced into becoming who we are authentically. I think one way, and this is not the only way, to stop giving a fuck or to step into ourselves, you get hurt. You get embarrassed. You get put on front from somebody else. Ooh, y'all got real quiet. So a back doorway into stepping into yourself is getting hurt, getting embarrassed, or somebody putting you on front. The reason that I say that, these are all situations that bring us down here, that humble us. And we ain't got no choice but to figure this shit out. And you got to do it in a way that is humble. You got to do it with humility, because you can't put on the front no more. When that's taken away, the front that you putting on for the world, if it is snatched away from you, you ain't got no point. No point. You don't have anything else to do but to dig into yourself. So the back doorway to stepping into you, who you really are, is getting your ass embarrassed, getting your heart broken, getting hurt, your best friend talking crazy to you and y'all not friends anymore, your mama putting you out. You know what I mean? You breaking up with the baby daddy that you've been with forever and ever. Now you got no choice but to stand up into who you are. That's the back doorway. Let me know if y'all agree or not. While y'all telling me whether y'all agree or y'all digesting it or just took a shot, it says, and work on loving you. Spend time with you until they no longer matter. Yes, be selfish. It has to be about you. That's right, Toya. Thank you, girl. But yeah, y'all, we really have to be okay with doing the work for ourselves. Sometimes we feel like doing the work to become you, we need a bunch of people, right? Sometimes you need to isolate to elevate. And that's a word. It wasn't my word. I heard it somewhere. But it still applies, right? Sometimes when we're trying to discover who we are, we have to isolate to elevate. And that means building courage, building strength, building wisdom, figuring out what you're going to do, how you're going to present yourself, right? And I think some of us, we care too much about the response. We got to stop caring about the response, and maybe I'm just talking about myself, but I always think when I do something or make a big decision, or I'm thinking about making a big decision, I'm always thinking, literally my immediate afterthought is, okay, how am I going to respond if someone says this? How am I going to respond if someone says this? When in all actuality, if and when I get to the point when I'm okay with whatever part of me I'm presenting, I won't give a fuck how they going to respond, because I know I don't got to respond back. Stop thinking you always have to respond to people when you don't. Okay? Hey, bestie. I miss you so much. Hey, Egypt. She said, and somebody already liked it, so it must be good. Sorry, y'all, my phone is a little far away. I started to allow people to do what they want instead of trying to control them. And then I decided if I want to partake. A word. Now I am learning to be okay with the fact that people can do the exact same to me. Now. Wow. It was the last part for me. She said, now I am learning to be okay with the fact that some people can do the exact same to me. This is why this is my best friend, y'all. And let me tell y'all a little bit of my business. Okay? So, I have been told, like, if you don't like something somebody do, stop talking to them, cut them off. They know what they did. You ain't got to explain it. You ain't got to this, that, and the other. If they ain't doing what you need them to do, leave them alone. And I've just recently had to accept that for myself. Some people, some friends don't like how you move. Right? And it could just be for the season, but you have to be willing to accept that the same way you handling people, they can handle you. Okay? While I'm on this journey learning to let people go that I don't need, learning to let people go that don't deserve me, that misuse me, that treat me, that do things to me wrong that I've already explained, if somebody does the same thing to me, I have to understand that part of authenticity is called giving people grace. You can't blame somebody for not fucking with you when you knew what you did was going to make them stop fucking with you, right? And vice versa. You can't let people continue to do things to you or do things around you that you don't agree with. You don't have to deal with anything or anybody if it damages who you are authentically, if it goes against your authentic beliefs. You ain't got to deal with nobody, but also be able to accept them doing the same to you. I think in this concept where they say, when we talk about karma, where we talking about giving out what we receive, or talking about, you know what I'm saying, accepting what comes and goes in the universe, we oftentimes just make that to really negative things. Like, if somebody hits you, hit them back. You know what I mean? We allude that to like, oh, if somebody did you wrong, it's going to come back to you. But it's not necessarily doing things wrong. It's just the way that you operate may not be in alignment with the way that someone else does. and they're going to stop fucking with you. And you have to be okay with that. That's not for you to get down in the dumps. That's not for you to get sad. Take it as a learning curve. Authentically, did this match up with who I am? If so, let it be. If not, you may need to grow the fuck up and have a conversation, right? So I'm glad that she said that. People tend to kind of just operate and autopilot and not be conscious of how they are doing things, right? So again, to answer this question, and we might be wrapping it up in a second unless y'all got something else y'all want to talk about. But this question that started this conversation was, how do we get to our real, true, and authentic selves, right? And my answer was stop giving a fuck. And then the follow-up question to that was, how do we stop giving a fuck? And all of these beautiful answers that we just went through was a response to that. Now, my last question that I wanted to go over was, what do you do when your authentic self or a part of your authentic self kind of scares you or is difficult for you to accept? It's something that you didn't intend to be you, right? It's like, ooh, nope, that's not a part of the plan. That's not a part of the prayer request that I sent to God. What do you do, right? And I think this kind of might go into just accepting who you are and embracing the change of who you are. But it's that fear also for me in particular. When I see parts of myself, it's like, I feel like people gonna call me fake. If I'm coming to the world with something totally different, or on the outside is totally different, right? The physical is totally different from what it is that they're used to me presenting or seeing. How do you handle that internally? And I'm not even talking about the crowd anymore. I'm not talking about being concerned about what the crowd thinks, but how do you handle those parts of yourself that you discover on your journey to authenticity? Right? How do you do that? And I'm glad somebody had a response, because I literally had no answer for that at all, because I'm asking y'all, what do I do? Take a step back and evaluate how I got here. And once I get over the fear, I hop back on once I'm okay and not other people being okay. Okay, so we're going back to not giving a fuck about the crowd, right? I think, I agree with you, Nene. And I think that for me, what it would take is reflecting on that new part of myself, right? Reflecting on what this means to me, reflecting on how it's presented, how it was presented to me, and just really sitting with it, right? And I think we live in such a fast-paced world where we feel like everything has to happen now, happen fast, happen quick, happen in front of everybody. Your life still has privacy, right? I think we just get so caught up in presenting everything, and you don't have to, right? Examples. This podcast, y'all, this is an idea that I've had for years. I've been doing it for like 2 years now, but it's an idea I've had for at least 4, right? You have to get okay in private before you can stand up in front of the world and present yourself. And I'm not even talking about being afraid of the response, but just being unclear with yourself, because you could be like, whoa, I didn't even know that this was me, right? Girl, Nene, yes, we know you private, because, girl, we ain't see your wife until the wedding photos. I love it. Goals. That's how I'm going to be. Child, you ain't going to know. What I told my friend Kavi, if the ring ain't there, no, what I said, we was at work. She said, if the finger is bare, the man ain't there. Okay? I need it. So she said, when it's you against you, you ain't got no fight to put up. But the new things we have to accept. Right? So I think, y'all, what we come into is that until you are comfortable with the parts of you that you accept, it's okay to be afraid of new parts of you. It's okay to be confused about new parts of you. Until you are okay, don't feel the pressure to have to present yourself to the world, because you don't. Okay? Stop feeling like the world gives us our rules, because it doesn't. Okay? And so this episode, we're about to wrap it up in a second. This episode is called Authenticity, the Real, because I wanted all of us, myself included, to really think about what it is to be yourself, to really not be afraid of growing, of evolving, right? Knowing that to be authentic is of undisputed origin and it's genuine, and to be genuine means to be truly what something is said to be. And that sometimes changes through our evolution. Not the authenticity that changes, but how it's presented could change, right? We also need to take away, and this is the last thing that I'll leave you with. We need to take away this idea of authentic being what we see. Right? Authenticity, I don't think, has much to do with what we see, but it has everything to do with who you are in your deep origin. The undisputed parts of who you are, the characteristics, the attributes that are you, right? It has nothing to do with the physical. So when we're talking about being genuine, real, and authentic, you, one, need to do some work. Sit with yourself. Two, once you discover those things that are authentic about yourself, you have to get okay with them. Right? Sit with them. Three, if you don't know who you are genuinely and authentically, take some time and write. Right? Figure it out. Three, get comfortable. Wait, what did I just say? Three? The next number, y'all know. Get okay with the person in the mirror. Start trying to please the person in the mirror and stop trying to please the crowd. Okay? I think we on number 5. All right? In order to be okay, or not, or to show yourself to the world, you have to stop giving a fuck. How do we stop giving a fuck? We have to understand that our lives are ours and stop trying to live our lives for everybody. And then the last thing, when you are presented with parts of yourselves that scare you, with parts of yourself that confuse you, again, sit with you. Isolate yourself if you need to, right? And I don't even like the word isolate because that reminds me of being very depressed. I don't like the word isolate. Let's not isolate. Let's kind of step into our privacy. It's okay to be private, right? Until you get okay with showing the world. And you're not okay. This is how you know if you're okay with showing your authentic self to the world. You're not okay with showing the world yourself unless you can not give a fuck about the response you're going to get back. Because everything you present, somebody's not going to disagree with. As a teacher, I'll be like, y'all want to play a game or y'all want to just have chill time? The class is never going to agree. Okay? Everybody in the world is never going to agree with who you are. So until you are ready to present yourself and not give a fuck about what you get back, live your life privately. Okay? Because that's the best thing to do. Nene said, wait, but your hair look like some good ass bundle shit. Yo, this me, y'all. It's me. This all my hair. Hold on. It just needs to grow a little more because I've been thinking about cutting it. But anyway, I'm going to leave y'all with that. I'm about to close us out. So thank you for joining me, everybody. This is Universal Teas, the People's Podcast. I hope to see y'all on Facebook Live next Tuesday. If not, make sure you share this video. Subscribe on Apple and Spotify, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.